Hearing that sound brings back memories. More PT, drill sergeant. Also, Johnson, give me 10. I'd say, drill sergeant, it's Johnson. That cost me 10 more. Good afternoon, I'm Dave Johnson. Joining me this afternoon will be Bob Lambert. We'll be representing the St. Peter Area Veterans Memorial Committee, a group of individuals that are quite passionate, not only about veterans, but about our community, about our state, and about our nation. We represent all veterans, near and far, and we welcome you to this dedication and program unveiling of St. Peter's own Veterans Memorial. We will now have the presentation of colors. We will now have the presentation of the colors by the William R. Whitty Post, number 37 Color Guard. Please stand. Thank you. You may be seated. We'll try now. Can you hear better? We could start over with Reveille, but we've got a situation coming up at 2:10. In a few minutes, there will be 4 North American Aviation T-6 Texan advanced trainer aircraft making 4 passes around 1,000 feet. We're told the clouds are at 1,500 feet, so we should have a good background to see them. You might have seen these aircraft doing a flyover at the Minnesota State Fair on Military Appreciation Day, the Minnesota State Capitol on Memorial Day observances, or possibly at the Aviation Show in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. The T-6 Texan aircraft was the classroom for most of the Allied pilots who flew in World War II. It was designed as a transition trainer between basic trainers and the first-line tactical aircraft. In all, the T-6 Texan aircraft trained several 100,000 pilots in 34 different countries over a period of 25 years. Though most famous as a trainer, the T-6 Texan also won honors in World War II and at the beginning of the Korean conflict. The 600 horsepower T-6 Texan trainer will make 4 different appearances today. Originally, they were going to come from the west, but the wind kind of changed from what was predicted on Thursday, so I'm guessing they're going to be coming from the north. We talked to them at 1 o'clock, and they had indicated they still had 2 planes socked in Richmond, Wisconsin, but they were going to call back if they weren't coming. We received no call, so at 2:10, we expect to hear a little aircraft. They will first be appearing from the north in the traditional diamond formation. Then they'll disappear and reappear with a display of aeronautical smoke. I'm guessing that's just smoke. It won't hurt you. You'll be fine. Next, they'll appear in what's called the echelon formation. Now, I know there's a few Air Force people out here, and so if I mispronounce some of these things, excuse me, but that's just the way it's going to be today. They'll be lined up diagonally, and then they'll break off, or keel off, they call it, and then we'll trail, or join up, and then return. They'll return finishing with the missing man formation, which is probably the most famous of all flyovers. The missing man formation is performed at primarily memorial events. Typically, it's in memory of a military service member. It begins with a fingertip formation, wingtip to wingtip. The second plane will bank away, leaving an empty space representing the fallen pilot. The space remains empty for the remaining formation display. Some of the T-6 trainer trivia, as we await their arrival, is kind of fun to hear. There were 22,000 of these aircraft produced, and there's 220 remaining. 12 in Minnesota, of which 4 are currently airworthy. They'll be flying at 1,000 feet at approximately 150 miles an hour, and each aircraft consumes 30 gallons of gas per hour. And if they're flying at 135 miles per hour, that would be about 4.5 miles per gallon is what they would get. If you'd like to fill one of these babies up, it's about $5.50 a gallon at a small airport. If you go to a larger airport, it's $8 a gallon, and there's a service charge, a cover charge. And the reason for that is the big airports don't want the little airplanes there messing with them. So it keeps them at the smaller airports. I have about 2 minutes to go before they're due here, so I've got a couple of other little things for you. During the past week, there was much concern if the memorial would be ready for today. The backside of your program lists many responsible for extending their day and their weekends to get this memorial accomplished. We certainly appreciate everybody there. But one of the things that happened was on Wednesday, when we put this program to print, there wasn't any sod here. And it was doubtful where sod would even come from because of all the rain. And so I'd like to add to that list Timberlake sod, that being Doug Wenner and Jeff Leonard, because on Wednesday, when we didn't have any sod, we thought we'd be going north of Minneapolis to get it. But they somehow got into their fields. We now have sod. So thank them. Those of you that, like me, that rely on your kids to tell you how to get on Facebook and look at things like that, and YouTube, John Smithers is a local individual, a veteran, and he does videography. And you might have seen some of his postings with his drone, as well as his still pictures. Well, John has volunteered to video the program today, and he's going to put it on YouTube so the whole world will be able to see it. And so we certainly thank him for that. Everybody's friend, and he's the librarian here. We're going to talk to him probably tomorrow, and I'll bet you we have that link at the library, so if you don't have access to a computer, visit your public library and I'll bet you'll be able to see it. Then I have one last little comment. Earlier this week there's an article in the Mankato Free Press about the memorial and saying that, well, with the weather and that, it's going to be a real rush job to get it done. Probably not very likely it could get done. Well, I returned home one day and there was a flashing light on the phone. I had a voice message and it wasn't real understandable at first. And it was because the receiver wasn't close to their mouth when they left the message. But I looked the number up on the library and the phone, and I called that number, and it rang and it rang. Somebody answered. And I think if you look above, here they come. 3, 1 still earthbound.
I don't know why I've never seen
I see it in my ear, Dad.
Do you see them? They must have one. That's fine.
We know the evening. Going back. Go back.
That's right. Okay, one at a time.
I was in like 50s. I have no
Hey, what's that? More cutting.
aeronautical expertise. I don't know if they're going to do one more pass or not. I counted 4. And so that's my Army expertise. I can count 4. If they get one more, so be it. And if they don't, that's right, the Air Force lived in dormitories, not barracks, and so that's right, miscounting.
I think there's one again, Dad. Dad.
Coming back. I really gotta go on your gas. Oh, they're leaving. Gotta get gas.
Okay. I do want to finish the story about the telephone call, however. And then I returned the call, and there it was answered, and I said, "Is Charles there?" That's what it said on my caller ID. And they said, "Just a minute." And Charles came to the phone, and Charles said, "Is this David?" I said, "Yes, this is David." He says, "Well, then I got the right one." I said, "Yes, you've got a check, you got the right one. If you got a bill, you've got the wrong one." And he said, "It doesn't matter, as long as you're David and you're with the memorial." And I said, "I am." And he said, "Well, I read in the paper today that it's touch and go to get this memorial completed. I'm a 95-year-old veteran from World War II. And I want to tell you something, David. I want that memorial done right. I'll come back next week to look at it if I have to. Just do it right and don't hurry it." Well, I don't think we hurried it. It was just long extra hours to get it this far. So Charles, I hope you made it today. If you didn't, you'll be able to watch it on YouTube, but thank you for your input. We'll now hear from the Mankato River Blenders. We will, in just a minute we will. Mankato River Blenders will welcome all veterans today as they perform the Armed Forces Medley. And when you hear your branch of the service in song, please stand and be recognized. We're getting a bargain.
Oh, we got it back, Dad. Oh, we got that, Dad. Got that.
Missing man we just saw, Air Force manual. Now we're back. And when you hear your branch of the military in song, please stand and be recognized for it. And the River Blenders, when they finish singing the salute to the veterans here, they're also going to perform a song for all people today. At the end of that, proud to be an American, which we all are. So River Blenders.
From the rising of the sun till the battle's fought and won, we will fight for the right and defend our country. We're always ready for the call. Coast Guard! We place our trust in thee. Our victory. Semper Paratus is our God, our pledge, our motto too. We're always ready, do or die. Aye, Coast Guard, we fight for you. From the halls of Montezuma, Marine Corps. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine. thank my lucky stars to be living here today. As the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless the USA.
Please remain standing, and I ask you to face towards the back of the memorial. And we're going to have Fox Company, 134th Gate Support Battalion, raise the American flag for the first time for our memorial.
Twilight's last gleaming,
Go down.
We wish to thank the City of St. Peter for allowing our memorial to be built on city property and in all of our flagship park. I now introduce the Mayor of St. Peter, the Honorable Chuck Z.
We'll try to speak loud enough and clear enough. Understand we're having a little problem maybe in the back, but maybe this will work out just fine. First of all, good afternoon and welcome. I have a tough time, and I've mentioned this before, when somebody calls me up to speak and they call my name, in front of my name, Honorable. I really have a tough time with it when there are so many honorable people out here today. What a great day for the City of St. Peter, the St. Peter area, all Minnesotans, and especially a great day for all veterans. Every day, an average of more than 25,000 vehicles will drive by this memorial. This memorial in this location will be a permanent daily reminder to many of the service and dedication that has been given by all veterans. There are many names represented and many generations represented on these walls. President Reagan said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same." Thank you to all generations that have protected, preserved, and transmitted the God-given right of freedom to future generations. And thank you to the current generations of patriots that are now serving their country. Many of us here today did not serve in the military, but there are other ways we can show our patriotism. We can all stand, if physically able, and face the flag during the playing of our national anthem. It is a simple act that we all can and should do. We all deal with life experiences and trauma in different ways, and it is beyond my comprehension what many of you have gone through and experienced during your military service and since your discharge. Hopefully this memorial will give some of you your own peace and freedom. Later, we will have the unveiling of the honor wall, and there are 97 names that appear on the honor wall. These heroes who gave the ultimate sacrifice are from the Civil War, the Indian Campaign, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the war in Afghanistan. 97 names, 97 sons, brothers, and friends. Some of them fathers, uncles, nephews, cousins, and classmates. 97 souls who have one thing in common. All of them are true American patriots. President Lincoln, at the end of his Gettysburg Address, says that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth. We are forever indebted to those who have given their lives and to all veterans who by their courage and integrity have made it possible for us to gather here today in peace and freedom and enjoy the liberties we have been granted by your service. I want to thank everyone for being here today for this special occasion. Personally, to be part of this dedication is truly an honor and something I will always remember and appreciate. In closing, I will borrow a couple lines from composer Irving Berlin. God bless America, land that I love. God bless America, my home sweet home. Thank you again, and may God continue to bless America.
Thank you, Mayor Zeman. At times, a non-veteran, and infrequently even a veteran, may pose the philosophical question, why a Veterans Memorial? I introduce Mr. Tom McLaughlin to offer a perspective. Tom is from Mankato, served in the United States Marines from 1966 to 1968, serving 11 months in combat in Vietnam before being wounded, and was then hospitalized for 8 months. Tom has been involved with a long, long list of military and veterans organizations, and has served on the Mankato City Council as well as the Blue Earth County Board of Commissioners. Mr. Tom McLaughlin.
You know, when Wendy Block calls you, you answer the phone. And when Wendy Block called me, I thought he was calling me maybe to get an honor guard, color guard from VFW 950 together to be part of this wonderful program. But no, he wasn't. If you know Wendy, he has a way of getting things done, and he's a very difficult man to say no to. So, Wendy, I don't know whether to thank you or what, but I appreciate the fact that you did choose me to present a few remarks today on community and the memorial. You know, looking around here, community, you don't need any remarks. You just look around at each other. This is community. St. Peter has always been a community that is active and takes pride in the community and includes everybody with all the wonderful events they host in this park here, and they have over the years. People come for miles, but today on this special occasion, a little piece of this park truly is going to be a greater part of the community than maybe this little corner of park was before. And this memorial today we dedicate to the veterans of the St. Peter area who served their community and their nation over the last 157 years. From the Civil War to those who are serving at this very day in the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Coast Guard. Memorials just don't happen. The idea must come from within a community. Many times it is the veterans themselves who take on the task. But it is support from the citizens, businesses, city itself that is needed to make it happen. The entire community of St. Peter should take pride for the support that was given to this project. The St. Peter Area Veterans Memorial will serve as a reminder to this and of this community of the sacrifices made by its citizens. in times of war and in times of peace. Those who served at their own will, and those who were called upon by their fellow citizens, drafted in times of national need. During the Civil War, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and those who volunteered to serve in times of the Cold War and in Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, and many other actions throughout the world, filling the ranks of our nation's volunteer forces of today. Those who paid the highest price will be remembered on this memorial from today forward. As we look around St. Peter today, you will find those who have returned from their service. They just stood for you. Give them another hand. Your family members, your friends, your neighbors, your employers, working and raising their families, making St. Peter the great place it is to live today. Forever, a community that has recognized the service and sacrifice of so few who have served so many. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. The St. Peter Area Veterans Memorial was conceived as an idea about 8 years ago. 6 of us sat around a table and decided that St. Peter really deserved to have a memorial that would recognize all the veterans that have served this community and the surrounding area. From the start, we had no idea what the final design would be, where it would be located, how much it would cost, or even if we could raise the money once we did have a design. Once the initial design was complete, a little over 3 years ago, fundraising began. And it began slowly. We had brainstorming sessions every month. We contacted area legislators. A legislative committee visited our site, and we compared our project to other projects from communities that had received matching funds from the state legislature. Cities like Eden Prairie, Minneapolis, Richfield, Edina, Virginia, North St. Paul. They were all provided matching funds or some state tax dollars. We lobbied the legislature during a bonding session, and the legislature failed to pass a bonding bill that year. No public money, no tax dollars has been used to fund this memorial that has now reached over $700,000. Thank you all. When you have the opportunity, please peruse the wall that holds the flags. This is the donor wall. It's a listing of the names of the individuals, families, businesses, and service organizations that have generously contributed to this memorial. Our board was amazed and continues to be amazed at the generosity of this community for this project. Nearly every business in this community has contributed. Every service organization contributed over and over again. Many individuals contributed far beyond paying for a name to be placed on the wall. We don't have time to name all of the generous donors. However, I would like to thank a couple. One, I'd like to thank Eric Olson of Olson Hobby Architects for his willingness to donate his time and resources toward this project for 4 years before ever receiving a paycheck. Without his company's support and design for this memorial, we couldn't have developed the concept and the design for this memorial, nor could we have ever hoped to convey our dream to the City Council for their approval. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention 2 local families who are extremely generous to this project, as they've been toward many other local projects. The Carl and Verna Schmidt Foundation and the Mark and Mary Davis family are two successful families that continue to give back to St. Peter. Without their support, we wouldn't be celebrating this memorial today. St. Peter is extremely fortunate to have such successful and generous families willing to make this community something special. We also want to thank each and every veteran who contributed by placing their name on the service wall as well. And here we are today dedicating our privately funded, community developed Veterans Memorial. Thank you all. Shortly, we will uncover the Honor Wall. The Honor Wall recognizes our area veterans that paid the ultimate sacrifice for us and for our country with their life. These individuals left their community, family, friends, and loved ones for service to their country and did not return. The 6-foot-high Honor Wall provides an enclosure where you are able to reflect on each of the 97 individuals who weren't able to return to their loved ones.
Many of you have asked if there was going to be a 21-gun salute today, honoring our veterans, both past and present. A clarification might be in order here. The well-known 21-gun salute is performed by the firing of cannons or artillery as a military honor. In the military, a gun is a large caliber weapon, whereas the rifle, a small caliber weapon, is used for military drill and ceremony, such as funerals and ceremonial gatherings. Today, the William R. Whitty Post Honor Guard will perform a 3-round volley honoring deceased veterans. The 3-round volley had its origin on the battlefield. During battle, 3 successive rounds were fired, signaling the end of fighting, so the dead could be honorably removed from the battlefield. When each army had cleared its deceased, 3 volleys would indicate that their comrades had been ethically cared for and that they were ready to return to the fight. Today, the practice of firing 3 rifle volleys for the departed service person is what we see and hear, but symbolically, it signifies the battle is over. The symbol of this battle is not a literal war, but the battle of life. The first volley is recognition that the war of life has ended. The second volley symbolizes that the veteran is gone from life. And the third volley, that our lives go on, and we return to the symbolic fight. Following the Honor Squad volley, there will be the playing of taps. The most widely circulated origin of taps bears repeating today. During the Civil War, a Union officer came upon several Confederate soldiers that had been killed in battle. He was directed to bury them, and in the process, the Union officer recognized one of the mortally wounded Confederate soldiers to be his son. His own son, a son that had left his family in the North to study music in the South. And when the war broke out, without telling his father, he enlisted in the Confederate Army. The father asked permission from his superiors to give his son a military funeral, even though he was a Confederate. He was granted permission, sort of. He was granted permission that he had asked for a contingent of Army band to play at the funeral, but he could only have one musician. And so he chose the bugler. The fallen soldier, a studying musician, had a paper in his uniform, which his father had discovered, and on it were 24 notes. At the conclusion of the burial, the bugler played those 24 notes. Everyone in attendance was moved, and the commanding officer in charge, General Butterfield, ordered the bugler to repeat those 24 notes at the end of the day, and for several days after. Soon it was known as Butterfield's Lullaby. Also during the Civil War, at the end of the day, the extinguish of lights was signaled by 3 taps on the drum to signal lights out. The popularity of those 24 notes spread, and Army units began using the 24 notes of Butterfield's Lullaby in place of the 3 drum taps. Those music notes, found in the soldier's pocket and played at the officer's son's funeral, soon were played at the end of each day, and in 1891, the title Taps was given to those 24 notes. Honor Guard. Members of Fox Company, 134th Brigade Support Battalion, please remove the cover of the honor wall.
You be seated. The service wall, or I should say walls, begin at 3.5 feet in height out on each side of the memorial, and they rise to 6 feet in height at the entry to the honor wall. The names of the individuals who have served in our military since the day our country was formed are listed on these walls. Every name is documented to have served. Every military branch is represented. Every individual on the service wall, or a friend or relative, financially contributed to make this memorial possible. There are a significant number of people listed on the wall who are not from this area, but who are friends or a family of people from this area wanted to help with financing this memorial. We appreciate their contribution. See.
All 1,200 names listed on the service wall recited an oath, whether enlisted or officer, of any military branch, which reflected the following. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations in the Uniform Code of Military Justice, so help me God. Wax Company, please remove the service wall covers.
From our initial conversations at the City Council, it was clear that St. Peter wanted a memorial that honored veterans, but also reminded all why veterans are willing to serve their country, to preserve freedom and peace. We decided that the centerpiece of this memorial should be an art form that would convey that message. The Memorial Committee enlisted local art professionals, basically Ann Rosenquist-Fee, and I don't know if Ann is here or not, but she is, we owe her a great debt. She assisted us through the competitive selection process for our centerpiece work of art. First, a request for proposals was distributed via various art communication systems, primarily in our 5-state area. And importantly, it was to depict freedom and peace. 12 proposals were received and 4 artists were invited to present their proposal. The final selection was unanimous, and Mr. Jim Shoup was selected. I'd like to just introduce Jim and Kim Shoup. They're standing right out there. They're waving their hands. Keep waving, everybody. But I'm going to tell you, that's a team that got that job done, and it's going to pull this off. You'll see what I'm talking about. A scale model has been on display at the St. Peter Public Library for several months, and this is cast in bronze, and it is 6 feet in diameter and 10.5 feet tall.
Do a survey of this great country and ask what symbol represents the United States of America. The most common response will be the flag or the American bald eagle. Google the same question, and the response is the flag and the eagle. The flag flies in honor at every public building, most private companies, and many front and backyards. The flag is on every uniform of public service, military branch. We have a pledge for it, a code of ethics for it, and every veteran protects it as their own. The eagle is a nationally protected species. We cannot legally possess even one of its feathers unless we are Native Americans. The eagle has this honor and also represents strength. The strength of our grip is a mere 80 pounds, compared to the eagle's talon grip of 400 pounds. That's strength. We have 24-hour surveillance utilizing webcam technology to observe our nesting eagles available on the internet. We fund an eagle center in Waukesha, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, so we can observe the eagle. We see one flying overhead and we stop. We like our eagles. The Fox Company bear no resistance to that rope or material. Please uncover our statue.
Spirit of Freedom and Peace by Jim Shute is described as this. Just as the Minnesota River flows and touches the waters around the world, our veterans have embodied our nation's ideals throughout the world. The eagle feathers represent each veteran in their journey, flowing together, uplifting, uniting, and transforming into a national symbol. The American bald eagle creating the spirit of freedom and peace. We thank you for your presence this afternoon, and please enjoy your St. Peter area Veterans Memorial. Thank you.
Now retire the colors. We would also like to remind you of the Vets for Vets on display on the bank parking lots. The American Legion is featuring for a Goodwill offering pulled pork, potato salad, and slaw. Beverages are also available while you visit with family and friends. Thank you for your presence this afternoon, and please enjoy your St. Peter area Veterans Memorial.
Hi, Bob.
That's right.
I'm kind of standing here to protect the tripod.
Right. I was just going to go around it.
Oh, okay. Be careful. Don't bump into it.
Dr. Stu.
Excuse us. Excuse me?
It's okay. You're okay now. Man, I'll tell you.
Thanks for getting that.